Hello and welcome to this lecture, and in this lecture we are going to talk something about dictionaries. So dictionaries are nothing but a type of data structure. So for this entire section we are going to discuss about data structures, that is the data structures which we have not discussed until now. And the reason why data structures are important in Python or in any programming language for that matter is that data structures basically allow you to capture data and store it in your code. So if you are writing any web application or if you are simply writing a simple Python program, what you are essentially doing is that you are taking some kind of data, you are processing it or manipulating that data in your code, and essentially you are giving out certain output. So in order to capture data or in order to store data, you are going to need different types of data structures, and that's the reason why data structures are most important in any programming language. So in this section we will cover some data structures which we have not covered previously. So the very first data structure which we are going to cover in this case are going to be dictionaries. So if you take the literal meaning of dictionaries, dictionary is like a big book on your table in which you select a particular word of which you want to find a meaning. So let's say you want to find a meaning of cloud. So you simply look up in the dictionary for the meaning of the word cloud and you will get the meaning of that word. So essentially what your dictionary contains is it contains a particular word and it contains a meaning to it. So essentially we have a pair in which one thing is actually a word and the next thing is actually a meaning of that word. So in Python, dictionaries are somewhat similar, but instead of having word and meaning, in Python we have something which is called as keys and values. So in your dictionary in Python, you are going to have a pair, and in that pair you have a key and you have the value of that particular key. So in order to understand this in a much more better way, let's go ahead and make a simple dictionary. So let's say you want to save ages of people in your code. So you could do that simply by using a dictionary. So what you essentially need to do is that first you need to name your dictionary. So dictionaries are similar to lists, but the only thing is that instead of having a single item, now we are going to have a pair. So let's say we name our dictionary as people, as we are actually going to store data related to people. So we type people equals, and as you all know, in case of lists we had something like the square brackets, but in case of dictionaries we are going to define the data in the curly braces. Now let's say that we want to save the age values for two people. So let's say our first person is John. So let's save his name first. So we type JOHN, John here, and this thing right here is called as the key. Now every key in a dictionary should have a value. So we are going to define the value in terms of age. So right after this key value, simply give a colon, and right after it you actually need to define the value of this key John. So let's say John's age is 32. So we simply need to type in 32 right in front of it. So this is one key value pair in our dictionary. Now in order to define another one, you simply need to give comma, go ahead, first define the key value, which is nothing but the person's name in this case, again give a colon, and then define his age to be, let's say, 23. So this thing right here is nothing but it's our dictionary. So as I earlier mentioned, a dictionary actually comes in a key value pair. So this thing right here is our key, and this thing is nothing but the value of your key. So this is the second key and this is the value of your second key right there. So it says that you need to have white space after it. So let's give it some white space. All right. So once you have defined the dictionary, now let's see how to actually map key value pairs. So if you look at the formal definition of dictionaries, dictionaries are nothing but they are data structures which are used to map arbitrary keys to values. So when you have a look at your regular dictionary, your task is to actually look at the word and find out the meaning. In case of dictionaries in Python, you actually look up the key, which is John in this case, and then you want to find its value, which is 32. So now let's learn how to do that. So you simply need to print out the dictionary first, which is people, then give square brackets, and in the square brackets in double quotes you simply need to define the key, and depending upon the key which you have specified you are going to get a particular value. So if you type in John here, and if you save the code and if you actually run it, as you could see, you are going to get a value as 32. So what Python essentially does is that it takes the key which you have passed and it is going to map this particular key to the value. So the value for John is actually 32, that is John's age is 32, and henceforth you are going to get the value as 32. Now if you replace John by Rob, and if you save the code and run it again, you will get a value of 23. So that's how we could use dictionaries to save certain kind of data. So whenever you actually want to save in some data in the form of a key value pair, so you could go ahead and use dictionaries for that purpose, and you could easily store data in that particular format. So that's it for this lecture, and I hope you guys understood what dictionaries are. So dictionaries are similar to list, but in list you could store single values, but in case of a dictionary you could store a pair, and that pair is nothing but the key value pair. So you have one key and you have one value related to that particular key. Now one more interesting thing about dictionaries is that you could actually go ahead and store any kind of data into it. So for example, right here you have a string, and right here you had an integer. Now instead of having an integer here, you could also go ahead and store other kind of data such as some list or something like that. So that is one advantage of using dictionaries. So that's it for this lecture, and in the next lecture we are going to learn something about the dictionary functions. So essentially we have learned what are dictionaries and how to actually define data in those dictionaries, but we are going to learn about a few functions which are helpful while manipulating or carrying out some operations on the data present in the dictionaries. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.